morning. It is Friday, January 4th, 2018. It's 8:38 in the morning, and this is a follow-up to our supplementary broadcast yesterday on the opening of the 116th Congress. So, after we stopped broadcasting because we were looking at the rules of the House, or otherwise known as H Resolution 6. These are the things that were reported after we stopped broadcasting. Pence, no wall, no deal from Breitbart. And this was published this morning. During an interview broadcast on Thursday's edition of Fox Channel's Tucker Carlson tonight, Vice President Mike Pence declared we will have no deal without a wall. Pence said, the president made it clear we're here to make a deal, but it's a deal that's going to result in achieving real gains on border wall security, and you have no border security without a wall. We'll have no deal without a wall. He later added, the president makes it very clear. No wall, no deal. All right, well, I guess we kind of got that message hammered home, so let's keep going. What else happened yesterday? From Fox, Ocasio-Cortez tells reporter, gotta run, when asked about shutdown paycheck, and this is by Lucas Michalonis. New York Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is still mum on whether she will follow her own advice to lawmakers to have some integrity and to give up their salary during the government shutdown. Quote, I've got to run, close quote. The Democratic Socialist told the New York Post on Thursday after being asked about her salary, rushing for a mock swearing-in with newly elected House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. So let's take a minute and look at a handful of those mock swearing-ins. One of those brand new Congresswomen was quoted as saying the following, and I'm not going to repeat what she said, but it was something along the lines of impeach the expletive deleted. On the first day in office, Muslim Congresswoman slams Trump. And this is from Zerohedge. Good morning, Tyler Durden. One of America's first two Muslim congresswomen has explained in a succinct and direct words exactly what the new, quote, most diverse ever, close quote, Congress's goals are in the next session. Just hours after being sworn in, Democratic Michigan Representative Rashida Tlaib promised to go after Trump, telling a group of left-wing supporters at a rally held by Move On near Capitol Hill that she will help Democrats do what I just read in the headline. And Barstool News Network tweeted, "We got Congress people out there calling the president an expletive deleted." Interestingly, as the Daily Caller reported, new Speaker Pelosi said in an interview on Thursday she will withhold a decision on impeachment plans until special counsel Robert Mueller issues his report in the Russian investigation. Quote, "We will have to wait and see what happens with the Mueller report. We shouldn't be impeaching for a political reason, and we shouldn't avoid impeachment for a political reason. We just have to see how it comes." Close quote. As always, with everything that we source, links in the show notes, and we present other people's work under Title 17, Section 107, the Fair Use Exception. Let's move on.
Is there any situation that you would accept even $1 of wall funding for this president in order to reopen the government?
$1? $1? Yeah, $1.
How high would you be willing to go? Are you willing to go?
No, you said $1. You said $1.
How high are you willing to go?
Well, that's not your question. You said $1. I'm answering your question. The fact is, a wall is an immorality.
All right, so she's ready to partially fund the border wall to the tune of $1. Kevin McCarthy joins us now. He's the House's brand new minority leader. Mr. Leader, congratulations on the ascension. I know you'd rather be in the majority, but Nancy Pelosi doesn't seem like she's budging. How does this end?
Well, we're going to have to find compromise, but one thing you have to see with the vote yesterday for Speaker, you realize why Nancy has not been serious about any offer. That was a very close vote for Speaker. She had to have all the members who voted against her, then the number of members who had to abstain to lower the threshold so she could become Speaker. Now, we have another meeting at the White House today. I hope they come back with a serious offer this time, but as you see from that press, this is really her shutdown.
Tucker Carlson from Fox News. "A mob of angry children doesn't want you to know why the American dream is dying." And this is by Tucker Carlson for Fox News. Oh, these Fox and everybody else, if you don't want us using your stuff, don't make it impossible to avoid it. Wednesday night was our first show of the year, so we decided to take a minute to talk about the biggest issue facing the country going forward. No, it's not higher GDP growth, despite what some think tank people will tell you. It's not some obscure Middle Eastern hellhole our leaders claim we should be policing forever. It's not even illegal immigration. As big a problem as that is, and as much as time as we spend talking about it, the real problem is families. America used to be the best country in the world for families. Americans could get married and afford to raise their children. If your kids work hard, you could expect that maybe they'd be a little more successful than you were. That's what we called the American dream. For a small group of affluent people, it still exists. They're still living like it's 1965. Good for them. But for everyone else, that dream is dying. America's middle class is in decline because middle-class American families are declining. So the question is, why is this happening? There are a lot of reasons, but a major driver of family collapse, the one nobody ever talks about for some reason, is simply economics. We explained it Wednesday night when I said the following, quoting himself: "Study after study has shown that when men make less than women, women generally don't want to marry them." Now, maybe they should want to marry them, but they don't. Over big populations, this causes a drop in marriage, a spike in out-of-wedlock births, and all the familiar disasters that inevitably follow. More drug and alcohol abuse, higher incarceration rates, fewer families formed in the next generation, close quote. Now let's be clear about that statement. First of all, it's factually true, and that's the essential test of anything, the test that we go by. In 2015, a study by the decidedly non-conservative Brookings Institute found that falling male wages caused about a quarter of the decline in marriage rates over the last 35 years. 2 years later, MIT researchers found that when factories close, marriage rates go down and single parenthood becomes more common. This causes a higher proportion of children to wind up on drugs or in prison, so it's not a small thing. By the way, many other studies have reached the same conclusion over a long period of time. This is real. So what we said is a statement of fact. We wish it weren't. In an ideal world, none of this would matter. The marriage rate would never have declined when manufacturing died, and everything in middle America would be fine. But it's not. We're not in charge of that. All we can do is tell the truth about what happened, which we did, because it actually matters. That turned out to be too much for people who believe it's their job to prevent you from knowing why your country is going down the tubes. They got very angry. Quote, "That reminds me of people that just blame women for pregnancy as if a man had nothing to do with it," close quote. Joy Behar, co-host to The View, said of our reporting. Funny that they would quote Behar of all people. Quote, "The whole thing looked like a loony town to me," close quote, Sonny Huston, Behar's cohort, said. Yeah, loony town. Notice that no one, though, contested the fact of what we said. Later in the show, one of those same hosts of The View admitted that, in fact, women do strongly prefer marrying men who make more than they do. A mob of angry children is suddenly in charge of the country. These aren't people seeking a revolution. They're fighting for the status quo to protect their own status. They're drunk on power and looking for new people to hurt. So it's true. But it's not on the list of approved talking points, so it can't ever be said out loud. There are new rules. Anyone who violates those rules will be punished. This is very common. If you're wondering why we wound up in the dark age we're currently living through right now, this is how. This is why important science is no longer being done. It's why art isn't being made. It's why comedy is dying and why people aren't thinking for themselves anymore, which means the end of creativity. It's why the rest of us stand by like cowards as the innocent are punished for crimes they didn't commit, because we're all terrified. We're terrified of being denounced by some mindless ideologue on TV or shamed and ostracized on social media for stepping out of line, or silenced completely by a big tech firm. A mob of angry children is suddenly in charge of the country. They aren't people seeking a revolution. They're fighting for the status quo to protect their own status. They're drunk on power and looking for new people to hurt. Someday we're going to look back on this moment with shame and horror. I wonder. But we should remember that terror only works if we play along with it. So what if we decided not to? What if all of us decided to tell the truth about something every day in public? What would happen then? What could they do about it? They can't punish everybody. We're the majority. Let's try that. Yeah, my first thought, to be frank, when Nancy Pelosi said she would take $1 from the congressional budget for now until February for the border wall, my first thought was, along with that campaign of independent border wall financing by Brian, the triple amputee veteran who is still giving back to his country, maybe we should just flood her office with dollars and require a receipt. And the way you'll get that is not to, write a letter and say, here's your dollar, put it towards the wall. Please send me a receipt. The way to get that receipt is to ask for a return receipt requested signature in the mail. And that's all we have for you today. Just a quick wrap up from what we showed you of the first session of the 116th House of Representatives of Congress, and interesting developments overnight. We'd like to thank the people of Southeast Michigan for electing such a foul-mouthed, anti-American woman to Congress. This is why the rest of the state despises you and doesn't vote the way you vote, because you don't represent the rest of the state. Good job, Southeast Michigan. All right, that's the end of my little political rant for today. It's a beautiful sunny day. It looks, to be that way for the rest of the day, so probably the shepherd and I will take a little walk here shortly. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We hope you are blessed and you have a wonderful day.